Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to the Common Ground Story on the Superman Show. We are officially on episode number 3. Want to thank y'all for listening to episode number 1 and 2, where we explored the beginnings of the crew and their background on even the attempt to make music professionally. And now in episode number 3, we get into a few more nuances, the concepts of beats, writing process, the evolution of the crew, how we dealt with the industry cats and just ciphers and things in general, just to have fun and just revisit the past. It was a great journey, and that bottle of rum is still in this episode, so if you hear me twisted, you already know why. But we're not going to waste too much more time, and we're going to get into episode number 3. I hope y'all enjoy. Sit back and relax, and here we go.
We're coming out! Guns blazing! Blazing! Blazing!
And I think we had come to the realization that, like I said, because of the fact that we were feeding off from the same watering hole for the most part. Like it was understandable that there were times where you guys got certain tracks, and perhaps even we got certain tracks.
Remember, all right, let's talk
that
about
we'd be
it.
sitting there and be
Remember
like,
mad about
damn.
the beats ID4 got.
Like I remember
Did
Pro
you ever
play.
get mad about nothing?
I remember Pro playing me shit because we didn't all always hang out at the same time. I'd be hanging out with Pro at the lab and shit, and he'd be like, "Yo, listen to this," and he'd play it for me. I'm like, "Yo, who's got dibs on that?" He's like, "Nah, I already gave it to Shot." And then I'm like, "Fuck," you know what I'm saying? Like, really? Like, damn.
But never that mad because we knew what you could do.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. At that point,
As
it was
long
like,
as
all
the
right.
same crew.
If I really, really, really wanted to jump on something, I might would have reached out to Shot, like, "Yo, like, you mind if I
Jump on that shit with you.
can I get a quick 16 or an 8?"
Well, I think
type
like
shit.
the cool thing that happened too after that meeting though was like the crew became even more fractionalized or whatever, but like for some reason like we got rebuilt as like now it was me and you, like, or I don't know, I kind of like joined the North and Agony side in a way, like, you know what I'm saying? Cause yeah, I felt like on the ID4 side, there was not a lot of common ground representation.
Yeah, well, I know Gadget by that point
wasn't around anymore.
Was MIA.
Yeah.
Deftone.
Yeah.
Was MIA. Really, out of every Spawn had already been doing his thing. The only people
Pro
left
was out.
Yeah, Pro
was out.
Was pretty much for
Well,
the
Pro
most
was
part.
out. Pro was out. We could still get beats from Pro, but he wasn't recording us. So
He wasn't at the meeting.
Pro?
Yeah, he wasn't at the meeting. He didn't. Yeah, no, he was. That was
Damn,
way
memory
beyond
suffers.
Pro. That
Yeah.
was way beyond Pro.
Like at that point, there wasn't even
Really?
a need for him to be at that
Pro
meeting.
didn't last. Pro after the Common Ground album, we both went our separate. We all went our separate ways. Even the first ID4 mixtape, it only had like a couple Pro tracks. It didn't have a bunch of Pro tracks. It had a couple.
I don't really remember. How did we get access to the MIDI?
We recorded at the MIDI, but then
For the meetings.
the meetings dude, the meetings didn't last that. How long
Meetings
did the meetings
ended September 11th. September 11th.
That's right. You're right.
Trivia.
You're right.
For all the people who don't
That
know.
was the meeting day. That's right.
That was
That's
the meeting.
right.
That Tuesday. That
And we
fateful
never had
September
another one. We never had
was the
another one
last
after.
one we
No
ever
shit.
had.
Yeah, that's real shit. I remember that.
No shit.
That's why we didn't go to that meeting, because all the schools were closed.
Yeah.
Everything was closed. 2001 September 11th was the last Common Ground meeting.
Well, then that means that we were meeting for only about a year.
That's what I was
Little
about
bit
to
over.
say. We
2
only met
years.
for about a year or so.
No,
Yeah.
it was about 2 years. No, because we started when I came back from college.
Because September 11th was 2001. You talking about 99?
98, bro.
I think because of my proximity,
It
to
wasn't
you guys-
98. Kara was born 99.
So we were been in the
She was
studio.
born September 99, and
Right.
and it wasn't too much before that I started jumping in the studio.
Now we
Yo,
met y'all. We met
no.
y'all in '99 because she was a baby.
That's what
When
I'm
I
saying.
came
So
through, she was a
99. So
baby.
you're talking about at the most maybe
Yeah.
2
Memory's
years.
failing.
Yeah.
I remember.
And she was
No,
born.
we
And
met
put it
y'all
this way,
in
she was
99.
born September '99.
Yeah. I know
So
that
by
day.
the time she was by the
was
time I was
21,
taking her
remember
to the
that
studio,
day?
she was at least a few months old. So this was like November, December night. So we're talking about almost 2000.
Yeah, I remember. That was my job. While y'all were rapping, I had to watch it. I can't believe that was. Damn.
Almost 19 years ago. She's gonna be 19 next week.
I'm just thinking like the last meeting. That's what my brain is on. I can't believe Pro stopped going way before that shit.
But yeah, after the meetings, we all kind of were doing our own thing anyway. Like we weren't recording. Like when the meetings were going on and when we had like the Miami-Dade access, we had to communicate more because it was like, okay, do y'all have the studio this week?
Yeah.
Do we have the studio this week? So it was like that's when we were truly
Communicating.
Voltron. You know what I'm saying? Like we were like everybody was moving it like it synchronized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In harmony, I should say.
No, I remember that
But-
definitely. But the you know, it's funny that
Like we started recording at Gold Studio, and y'all were recording somewhere else. But we already were setting up our own shit when we started recording the show, the first ID4 mixtape.
you know, for the Common Ground album, it was pretty much put together the way of we had Pro as the common producer. He produced the whole album, and then we had ID4 tracks, and we had North and Agony tracks, and it got to a point where we said we got to do some crew tracks together. And the first crew track you guys did was Realize. So for me,
We
as-
did Realize before Killer Be Killed.
yeah. So for me,
That's the first song that we all did together.
yeah, is Realize.
I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm telling, because I remember it because the concept. I'll tell you where my brain goes, and you guys can take it where your brain goes.
I remember I wrote the hook. Humble brag.
You wrote two hooks.
Yeah, because there's one that goes on at the same time as the first one. I never understood the rationale behind it, but I never fought it.
Nah, because Shottie wanted to do it. We just let him.
That's
You just
right.
let Shottie do it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We shout out the whole crew.
Yeah, I used to try some crazy shit.
We
man.
just let you do it, bro. And for me, as a fan of hip hop, as a fan of people who write songs, Shottie's idea was to do a double rhyme, and it was
to rhyme the same rhyme throughout your whole verse. And
yeah,
everybody-
double rhyme though. The last two words,
or however many syllables.
or however many syllables. Yeah, but you wanted it to double rhyme for
I
everybody,
had 5 syllables.
and I think
Pippin and blazing. No.
Right,
I have 5 syllables.
I think it was the first time in my memory of Common Ground that you guys that you challenged them. I think you challenged the whole crew.
Yeah. I
for
remember
the
that.
first time.
I remember that. Yeah.
And everybody really stepped up.
Yeah, really stepped up.
Talk about
Really
it,
stepped up. I was. This is gonna sound fucked up, but I was most impressed with Littles and North. Because I kind of knew that Agony would get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why, bro. It sounds fucked up, and it's not like a skill thing, but I knew that Agony like spoke that language. You know what I'm saying? So like when I laid out like the premise, oh, yo, this is what we're gonna do or whatever, like, and North and Littles arguably had the best verses on that song.
It's North.
Yeah. Are you
Everybody
kidding me?
slayed it.
Little's verse is fucking incredible on that song. I love that verse, bro. That's one of my favorite verses of his. Yeah, they like really, really killed that shit, man. I remember when you were dropping your verse that Nick came into the studio. I don't know why, bro. I have these certain memories that like stick that you just like. It's like a random like fleeting moment, but he came into the studio and you were saying the line. Lyrically, I'm weighing a pun, and I remember him looking at Pro, and Pro looked at him, and Nick was like he just shit like nodded. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, this dude could rap. And I remember that stayed with me, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? He wasn't here for my verse. You know what I'm saying? Fuck this guy. But nah, I remember that. That was crazy.
Wow.
These little things that stick with you. It was literally like no words were said. And you were in the booth, bro. I was
You know, it's funny you make a comment like that because I don't think what people understand is that the CG album came together and we got those 2 tracks that were all on. But at that point, it wasn't all love to a certain extent.
Yeah,
there was
Like,
still
we
that.
weren't all friends yet.
There was still that, that little bit of rivalry on some like, yeah, like I'm working with y'all because you're cool, you're tight. Pro wants to do it, but
Sharing producers.
yeah, it wasn't necessarily on some like all.
We fucking the same beats.
Like it was, and it wasn't. There was never any beef, and it was just there was still those that fresh connection
and
type
you know
shit.
what it is, and you know what's funny, man, that like it's that Littles never reached across the aisle the way I did to like, cause like I had a personal relationship with you guys because you guys live so close to me that I just started hanging out with y'all just to hang out with y'all. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why towards like the end or whatever, like CG became more like you guys and me, and then like Flex. You know what I'm saying? Like Salazar
And Vortex.
Yeah, that really became like the second incarnation of CG because like like Littles ain't from Kendall. He lived from a different part of town.
Far.
Yeah, and he was my boy, and he stayed my boy. You know what I'm saying? Like he just stayed on my side of the crew. He never really like reached across the aisle and shit.
Yeah, like I don't have, to your point, I don't have a track with just me and Littles. I got tracks me, you, and Littles.
Do you have a memory with
I got
Littles?
tracks of me and you.
Do you have a memory of hanging out with Littles in a non-rap?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No, like,
I would come to your crib like we would chill all the time. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And we would chill all the time and shit. So like it became different. And then you and I started doing a bunch of music together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those were tight.
And that became the new CG. It was North Agony and Shottie. And we just yelled CG
Look,
all over
I
it.
feel like me and Agony kept the CG kept the sides running together, because North always repped CG, but like I didn't have as much contact with North as I did with Agony. I was cool with
you know
all
what?
of y'all,
It's
but
the same point. You don't have any tracks, just you and North.
I don't.
Anything with North has me kind of in the middle.
Epiphany.
Well, is that because, and now we can get into this, which I think is interesting, right? Is that because we play the same part in our respective crews?
Are you both
like
Batman?
we play the same role? Nah, it's not a Batman and Robin thing.
For me, I know I got tracks with Shot because I went after them.
There you go.
Nah, is that
because I'm trying, and the reason why there's a pause there is
that's really
I'm trying to think of a track where you reached out on some like, yo, Ag, jump on this shit. It was like I put together. Let me stop saying I don't want to sound like egotistical.
Well, hey,
but it
is
is
your time
it
to
is
talk
it
your
is,
shit.
right.
Talk
Talk
about
your
it.
shit.
I put fucking for example, I put 305 niggas together with me, North, and Gold.
Well, let's give a little disclaimer.
I put Let It Go together with me, North, Shottie, ID, which we call it Littles, Gold, and Jigs. I managed to fuck and get Deftone to do cuts. I definitely got that shit to happen.
Talk your shit.
That was me. That was me.
shit.
That was
Talk
me.
But then there
What
was,
it be like with me,
Let It Go,
North,
Shottie.
Gold, and Shottie. Like there's certain tracks that I listen to that are classics, and I'm proud to say that. I mean, not to try to pull titles or anything, but if there's ever that fact of like the executive producer, like not about who made the beats, but who put
this together?
Yeah, exactly.
Me. That's who.
You know, there's
Who made the
a
phone
few
calls?
there's a few collabos that happen, and I'm proud to say it. It's not even like I'm saying it like on some like spiteful shit. I'm proud to say that I was the one that managed to coordinate and get everybody to do that. Even with Let It Go, like I was talking to Sandra about this the other day, that because we recently did some new shit that again Pro listened to. He's like, nah, but the beat should be more like this, and he sends me a link to some other shit. And I'm like, dude, if I could produce like
shit.
that, what the
Word
fuck?
up, bro. Word
Some
up, bro.
Tory Lane shit. I'm like, dude, if I could produce
If I could
like
make
that,
those beats.
I wouldn't even be sending you shit. You know what I'm saying?
I'd
Like,
be
fuck
rich
you, I don't
already,
need
nigga.
you. So I pulled his card and I'm like, well, you know what? How about I send you the shit and you do whatever the fuck it is you think it should be. And he bit. We'll see how long it takes for him to do it, but he bit.
But look, I agree with that. But there was also, I feel like there was a wave where like you and I would meet up to write parked outside your crib.
Yes.
Like I remember a bunch of times that we did this and shit, and we went through mad tracks doing that shit. And that wasn't necessarily like this song is for your album thing. That was just us like collab, and I produced most of those. You know what I'm saying? So that was like a lot of genuine collaboration that was happening. It was mostly between you and I, and then like North would jump on the track after the fact. You know what I'm saying?
True. This is true.
And North was there a few times too. Like, you know, it's not even to like to dig, but I feel like it always happened at Agony's crib. And I feel like the nucleus of that was usually me and Agony, like those you know, collaborations that came out of like that period in time.
Can I do a little sidebar real quick? I would like to talk about writing, as you guys said, because you guys both stopped writing at a certain point in your careers, and
He started.
Talk about it.
You were there.
Talk about it.
You were there, bro.
I was there, but they
led-
weren't
he
there. The
led- he
audience
led-
was not there.
He
So-
led the way, and then
so
made
let's
me,
go back a little way.
I had heard, before he gets into it, I had heard rumors,
rumors.
you know, about certain people in the
Biggie,
industry
Jay-Z.
that did that type of shit. And I'm like, at that point, I was like, I don't know how. I'll leave it at that. I don't know how.
Boy, Nas,
Especially-
Eminem,
especially
all
going-
these guys that we appreciate, they wrote. There was
Especially
no,
going back
there's
to
no negativity.
especially
in
going back
writing.
to the point of pen to paper and my craft. Like, I'm very methodical, and almost to a fault. Like, I feel that there were times where it would take me longer to write verses because I would try to force certain word plays or certain rhyme schemes.
Right.
Purposely, because I'm like, all right, no, it has to hit a certain way.
Right.
So I would fight my way through verses sometimes, because I'm like, no, I know what the last word's gonna be, but I gotta find a way to incorporate two other words that need to match these words. And it was like a science to me, where there were certain times where I found that when I would break away from that, I'd even write certain verses that I'm like, wow, it's dope. And then later on, I'd listen to it, be like, you know, I didn't follow what I normally follow. But anywho, the ability to do something like that without looking at it, to me, was like, no fucking way.
It didn't seem real.
It didn't seem possible,
Yeah.
you know, like to be able to do that. And like I said, because I remember visually looking at my paper and almost mapping things out to make sure that things hit in a certain way, that I was like, how the fuck am I going to do that without being able to scribble and scratch and add and move and circle and cross out type shit, you know? Because these are all the things that happened on my paper. How do I do that in my brain?
Yeah.
And then
You
you're the one. I didn't hear it from him. I heard it from you.
Oh.
You're the one that came to me one day. It was like, "Yo, Shottie did it." I go, "Shottie did what?" You know what I'm saying? Like, he made it. Like, he got put on. Who'd he sign with? Type shit, right? I'm like,
To me,
what?
It was a way bigger achievement than anything I could
He's
ever
like,
imagine
yo,
at that point.
he wrote a verse without pen and paper. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, like he just wrote it and and he spit it. I go, without anything? He's like, yeah. I go, you serious? He's like, yeah. I was like, no fucking way. And that is what motivated me to say, all right, then how do I do it? You know what I'm saying? If he did it, then I should be able to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I'll let you talk about.
That's dope that happens, though. You know what I'm saying? That's dope that like somebody in the crew like just tries something and shit, and somebody else realizes like, yeah, I could fucking do that shit too. And it's something that you thought was impossible. I thought it was impossible too, bro. So what happened was I had a studio session with Draz. Shout out to Draz too, fucking
Draz Beats.
dope ass producer. I had a studio session with Draz and I hadn't written to the track, and I think I was at Flanagan's getting drunk with Potato. So like we had like
Shout
a
out
couple.
Potato.
I was drunk as fuck that day, and I was like, "Yo, I gotta go. I got a fucking studio session, whatever." So I think I picked you up, right? And I'm
On the way.
I'm
But you
interested in
hadn't
hearing.
even-
Yeah, I want to hear your perspective on it too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, all right. So for me, all right. At that point, by the time you picked me, I guess you were drunk. Well, you drove very well.
Don't try this at home,
Yeah,
kids.
come on. Now. This is the '90s, and not even. It's 2000. I don't even know what it was.
He says the
But-
90s.
This the '90s, Jesus.
Yeah, I met you at the end of the '90s. So we started coming around '99. So anyway, Shottie picks me up, and he he's mumbling to himself the whole ride to Draz's studio. And as he's mumbling to himself, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Because I've never seen him do this before. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, yo, I almost got it. And you kept telling me you almost got it. I almost got it. I almost got it. I said, what the fuck do you almost have? And you're like, the verse. I'm almost done. I was like, oh, word? He's like, I need like 2 lines. You're like, I need like 2 lines and I'm done. He's like, I'm like, I was so confused, but you told me like I'm writing it in my head. And I'm like, I think what I thought, my initial thought was, it can't be good.
Right.
Like it can't be the Shottie that I know good. It has to be like a B plus paper or B paper.
And I
Shottie.
think like lyrically, like the verse wasn't as complex as my other rhymes, but it was way more swaggy. I remember like the way I rode the beat was way more swaggy than usual. I was like, damn, I kind of like this. You know what I mean? Because it was like, well, first of all, it was completely done by necessity, out of necessity. You know what I'm saying? Like I was drunk. I didn't have time to write, and then I had to drive to the studio, so I couldn't fucking put it down on a piece of paper. So I was just listening to the beat and fucking, picked you up, and I was coming up. I already had like 4 bars when I was at Flanagan's. So that was like my jumping off point or whatever, And then like, it just kept coming to me. And I picked you up, like I was like at bar number 10 when I picked you up, when it was like I could already see the finish line. I was like, I'm crossed, I'm crossed the half point mark. You know what I'm saying? I can see it, B. I'm gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? I was confident enough to tell you like, man, I'm doing some shit right now. Yeah, man, it was crazy. So like, I fucking I dropped the verse fairly easily, which I don't do anymore. Like now I'm realizing, like as I do it now, like I remember, I'm able to remember more shit as for when I'm writing it, but when I'm dropping it, it takes me a while to like remember the whole shit back. You feel what I'm saying? Like I could write to it for a minute, but when it's time to record it, I have a little bit of trouble remembering it back, and it usually takes me a couple takes. But that day I did it like right away, first or second take. I was like, damn.
Yeah. See, for me, even when I started doing it, it was something where it had to be almost immediate. Like, all right, I got my verse ready.
Yeah, time to
You're
go.
done. You're done. I could manage while everybody else was still in that mode, because I've been in writing sessions with him, North, and me, where we're all without pen and paper, and whatchamacallit, we're talking, but we went from that to the mic. I always found it much more difficult to try to say, all right, we're going to write tonight without pen and paper, but we'll drop this shit some other time, and then trying to remember that shit. Like, it got to the point where, I had to start using whatever method I could find to, all right, I got to capture this shit, because I know tomorrow I'm going to wake up and say, not even necessarily what did I say, but how was it that I said that shit? Like, for some reason, the words wouldn't hit like they were when I was putting it together. It was, so from writing in the head to the mic was, to me, was, you know what? And it was even easier at that point, because I remember putting shit on pen and paper and then standing there and reading and spitting at the same time. And it was problematic, because that small, that small difference of the brain trying to read it, to then interpret it and then deliver it, really fucked with me. And then it got to the point where most of the times when I was writing stuff, the best takes at times were like, all right, you know what, I got this, and I would put the paper down and just spit it. Yeah. So when you take the pen and paper out of the equation, that transition from all right, my verse is done to let's go to the mic, it was a lot smoother, because at that point I was already in the flow, because there was no way that I would have even been able to put it together if it had extra stuff. Whereas with pen and paper, it was kind of easier to sometimes have extra fillers in there. It's like, you know what, this isn't going to work. Let me rework this.
That's what I was just telling Soop. Like when I did it the first time at Draz's crib, like the complexity of the rhymes wasn't the same as my usual shit, but the swag was up by like 1,000. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And eventually I married it to where like I found a good middle ground between the two, you know. But I never wrote a rhyme since that day.
That's crazy, man. Because
Since
I never wrote another rhyme.
no shit,
Yeah.
I had to get back to the pen and the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got out of there's a difference. I got back to pen and paper because of the fact that there was no more of that instant, head to mic.
Right. You
Type
needed a place
transition.
to document
So
it.
there were times where I'd probably come up with stuff, and then once I had a few lines for whatever moment of time I could have it in. Many times these days, I'm writing rhymes on my way to work, on my way home, and then once I'm home, it might be me. Not actually. There's no more pen and paper. It's all let me get on my phone and type the shit.
Right.
And if I'm really short for time, it's let me get a voice note real quick and record myself, and then I'll feed off of that later and write the rest of it. So it's a combination of either typing or recording a voice note, but there's still that incorporated part of I can't go line by line while I'm driving, but I'll put it all together. And if I happen to come up with 4 to 8 bars, on a 20-minute drive home, then sometimes that's what I'll put together, and then I'll just do it that way. But I can't. My brain will not remember something if I just come up with it in my head and then 4 weeks later expect to be on a microphone and be like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to spit. Unless it was something I was continuously,
At some point, I figured out that like when I hear the beat, I'll be good. I'll remember it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but I don't know, man. Like,
talk about it, Fred. Tell him what happened, man. Tell him Agony. Tell him what happened, Agony.
What happened?
Tell him what happened with your songs, man. Tell him about how many songs you made.
What?
You don't remember them no more.
Oh, that dude. He's making fun of me.
So
Superman
Shottie
has this mutant ability to fucking find shit that is not in my life. Look, at this point, I know the tracks that I have based on whatever I have. And
right.
you know,
you
so
don't remember like.
So if it's
No,
not in my
Shottie,
library,
You don't remember the one that got away.
if it's not in my library,
keep
then
listening.
I'm not saying that it never existed. I don't remember it.
Right.
And not even to the point where I'm not talking about like an old song from way back in the day that you didn't remember how much of it you actually remember till you hear the track and you can follow along with it. I'm talking about no memory whatsoever, which is a beauty because it's the only time in my life where on a handful of occasions I've been able to sit there and listen to my own shit as somebody who's never heard me before.
I love when that
because I
happens.
don't remember writing the shit. I don't remember coming up with it. I don't remember spitting it. It's a brand new track to me that I can listen to myself as a fan that I'm like, and there's been a few where I'm like, all right, but there's been some times I'm like, yo, that motherfucker's nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, how the fuck did he come up with that shit?
But this dude will listen to the track 3-4 times and still not remember it.
It's gone. It's a brand new
gone.
song.
Yeah, because usually a song will bring you back to to when you recorded it. So if you don't if that
not
memory
there.
doesn't link, then forget about it, bro. It's gone.
So let me ask you this. Let's finish up the album real quick. The only last track, Common Ground, ever recorded together as a full crew was Kill or Be Killed.
No.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm trying to think.
Nah,
he might. No, he
Gumbo.
might. But that's the thing. That's why I'm about to say. I'm about to get very.
On Gumbo.
I'm about to get very specific. As a crew, meaning CG, meaning the 4 of us.
Yeah, not the 5 of us never did a track.
The
with
5 of us never did a
Yeah,
track.
we never did a track with
And
Spawn.
I think the four of us,
That's it.
just the 4 of us. What
That's
other
it.
track is there?
Nah, you're right. The rest of them is me with you and North.
Like there's me, you, and North. There's me, you, and
On a bunch of
Littles.
songs, yeah.
There's me, you, Littles, North, and others. But as far as just the 4 of us, and that's crazy. We never did the founding 5 of CG have never done a track together.
That's crazy.
Which if anything comes out of this, we got to make that happen. And I don't know
But
how we're gonna get.
But I mean,
how we're gonna
but Spawn is not a founding member though.
But
The
even
founding
with the 4,
members, the founding members are.
But he's a
4
strong
MCs.
5th. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like
we
Yeah, but he wasn't there when we signed
Right.
the declaration.
that's true.
yeah.
That's
He wasn't
true.
there when we signed the declaration.
You're right about
he
that.
was there when Shottie was like, "Yo, we got more."
Yeah,
like,
we.
And you know what? And to that point, Spawn's track isn't on the original
Nah.
CG
Yeah, Spawn's
album.
track ain't even on because he
That's
on
wasn't
the
right.
original
he
That's
album.
wasn't
true.
CG.
On the
That's
origi-
true.
Exactly.
That's
on the
true.
original CG album is Realize.
I got a track with
everybody-
Spawn. See, I made it my business to make sure I had my tracks with
Well,
the people I wanted
CG
to
is
have
a
tracks.
lie.
I don't have a track. Oh no, ID4 has a track
Yes, you
with
do.
Spawn on the first tape, but
Yeah.
that's it though.
Well, they said I root for the kid. I root for
I
the
always
villain.
root for the villain in the movie. Nigga, top billing with the Uzi. Stop chilling, use a groupie.
Yeah, I'm top killing in jacuzzi. Yo, so but honestly, the only tracks that you guys have as the four MCs that form CG.
Realize and kill
Kill
it
It
be
Be
killed.
Killed.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never even thought of that. That's crazy. Well, like I said, like Littles never reached across the aisle. It was, you know, at one
And
point
then
it
North bounced to.
was
Orlando.
And then when we went to Orlando though,
That's when we did plans.
that was one of the greatest
Trips.
and tracks I
Yeah.
think that we had as a crew. I think that was the first one that I did with you guys without Littles. Like that was the first one post Kill or Be Killed.
Yeah, that might be it.
We all went to Orlando.
Yeah,
we
because
did
I remember
Plans.
that is true because when we did Stumbling, that I kept calling it Plans Part 2, he's like, dude, it has nothing to do with that track. And I even threw the ad lib at the end talking about Plans Part 2. He's like, why the
That's right.
fuck would you say that?
That's right. I remember that.
I just kept calling it Plans Part 2. It was the second track we had done
Plans was a dope.
post the
track.
first one.
Plans was a dope track.
Plans is a phenomenal track.
And that studio session, I just remember it being like super dope. Cause
It was
like,
fluid.
Yeah, it was fluid. We had a clear topic. Like everybody stuck to the topic. Like really, it was a dope song, bro. That's one of my favorite CG
Realize
songs.
was one of the beginnings of that. So by the time you did
Fuck
plans,
that. That's my favorite CG song.
There you go.
Plans. As far as like, you know,
Favorite.
people from all crews at least being
Yeah,
represented. Yeah.
Everybody had a vote. So what's your
Plans
favorite?
is
What's
dope.
your favorite CG song?
Wow. Talk about being put on the spot.
If Plans qualifies,
It does. I'm trying to think. To me,
so you have a lot of arrangement you could pick from because there's a lot of CG tracks.
yeah, I mean, if we're quantifying CG as...
Yeah,
Somebody
not
from
North and Agony.
94,
It's got to have at
somebody
least
from North and Agony.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Well, at least somebody from North and Agony and ID4.
Correct.
So
Right.
at least two representatives, right?
Yes.
Believe it or not, like for me, it's me being selfish. It's a toss up between Let It Go and What It Be Like. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I think if I had to choose between
What It
those
Be
two,
Like is
I
pretty
choose
good.
I choose What It Be Like. That sample
What It Be Like.
and the way it was chopped up and put together and everything like that, and just the
And
flow
it has like
behind
two
it.
hooks. That song
Yeah.
has like two hooks. Yeah.
It was like, to me, that's just, it's so hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Street light.
It's
What?
it's so us repping who we are and just spitting whatever the fuck we felt like, and the beat is bananas, and
Yeah.
it just
I
you know,
hear
it's
on that. That's a good option. Plans and What It Be Like. That is
Shout out to Gold. He's on that too.
Yeah.
And let's be real. A lot of the
matter of
tracks-
fact, he freestyled the last few lines. I remember that day we were at
Yeah.
my crib and we had to wrap it up. I was like, "Yo, you got your shit?" Yeah. He's like, "No." I was like, "Yo, come on."
He probably hold on.
He's
How
like-
would
he's
Go say it? Go say it. No, dirty.
He said, you know what I'm saying? And he went in. I was like,
Nah,
"Yo,
nah, dirty.
it's your turn." You know what I'm saying? And he's like, "All right, cool." And he went in there, and it didn't take him long either. He just came up with whatever the fuck came up in his brain that night is what ended up being at the end of that track.
Me and Littles and Jigs did a whole song freestyling one time. We never released it, but we did a whole song. That was like the point of the song. We had a hook or whatever, and we just freestyled the verses. And
That's
shit.
dope. I would love to hear that.
I've never
you know
heard
what,
it.
you know who had the
Freestyle.
dopest verse? Littles. Littles used to freestyle, man. Like,
Yeah.
yo, Little's such an underrated MC, man. Like,
Talk about it,
It drives
Shotty.
me crazy, bro.
Talk about it, Shotty.
Yeah, because he's like had potential to be the most talented, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Had the potential, but like had the least drive to be and he's like a dude that when he loves something, he gets super motivated. You know what I'm saying? But like, he just didn't care about being a rapper, bro. So that's why it frustrated me, because I'm like, bro, you're nice. There's dudes that like really want to be rappers that really suck, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're really dope, dude. But like, nah, he just wasn't into it. You can't force it, bro.
Nah.
So Littles came up with the shit he came up with without not giving a fuck about it.
Exactly. That's
trying
what
to
I'm
say.
saying. Like, Littles, without giving a fuck, was hanging with us. That like we took that shit deathly serious. You know what I'm saying? And like, He
That is
like
true, 'cause
without
when
giving it any effort was hanging. You know what I'm saying?
Like
So-
I would try on every fucking
Me
shit
too,
that I would
man.
put together. Like there were times where I would kind of just let it fly, just to not to stop the juices, like not to get too picky. But there were most of the time I would sit there and there were a lot of scratches in the rhyme book. Like, nah, fuck, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I mean when I said that and realized I knew you were gonna be all right because I knew that you're the one that puts the most care into the craft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I spoke the language like you said. Like when you said this is the format, I was like, I got you.
Yeah, you're a format guy.
Yeah.
You're a structure guy. You know.
Like I said, to a fault sometimes. I've had to break away from that purposely to where I'm like, I can't be that picky because I'm getting stuck on one line and I got all this other shit that I still have left to say.
Yeah, I used to have like back in those days and shit, I used to almost write backwards. Like I would have dope punchlines and then I would come up with like the filler lines afterwards.
Yeah, no, let me tell you, when you're writing a verse and you know, if I could listen to a beat and all of a sudden just start kind of floating around the idea of all right, where do I go with this? And I kind of get the first few words going. If I can get the first 2 words and the last 2 words, it's done. It's over. Like everything else in between is like whatever. I know where I'm going, and I know this is how I'm gonna end it, and I'm gonna end it fucking fire. The rest is just me building up to that point. What sucks is when you kind of, at least for me, when I'm building a rhyme and I get to the point where I'm like, all right, shit, I only got 2 lines left. Now what the fuck am I gonna say? I got all this shit that I built up to. I'm like, all right, how do I
now
end
I gotta
this
wrap
shit?
it up. Yeah,
you know, like without leaving people wondering. Like, fuck, it sounded like you had more to come. And that's just due to the structure of, when you're going. That's why the best thing to me sometimes, and I still like to fuck around, is just grab a beat and go till you're done.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like, for me, it was that I had to, like, teach myself to write. I had to learn to trust myself to write linearly. Like, to write from, like, start at the first line with no preconceived bars and just like trust myself to be able, because like I used to think that I had to have like a killer line every 2 or 4 bars, like I had to have a haymaker, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like and when I listen to those tracks when I was in that mentality and shit and I look back and listen to them now, those are the ones that make me cringe a little bit. I think when I started writing linear, and it took me a while to figure that shit out, man, like I really didn't have it figured out until I started doing solo shit, until after all the ID4 shit, all that shit, you know, where I just like started a verse from the beginning and was just like, I'm just gonna go to the last bar or whatever. That took a while to figure out, man.
It changes. I've gotten a bar 12 and been like, you know what? At this point, this shit is fire enough where it's easier for me to write a first 4 and then just continue and end it with what I have right now. Like, you know what, like this is dope. Like, why try to fight it? I'll end it with this and just say, you know what, I'll just come up with a first 4. Sometimes like put something in between, but like I'll listen, I'll look at it like, this is what I gotta end it with. Like, there's no reason for me to even try to finish it with something different.
You guys are crazy. Because I can never follow your rhyme patterns. I'll get a little selfish right now. I always respect MCs, and you guys are probably the closest MCs I have to me on a consistency, and I can never figure out where your brain goes to break the bars. Like, as a fan of a guy, as a fan of music and like MCs that kill bars and all that shit, when you guys decide to stop and break the line and go on to the next thought and transition, I'm always baffled. That's why I don't even try to.
Well, I got the kind of like memory for music shit that I will know if I've heard it. I'll know if a MC used the same rhyme. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I always try to avoid that shit. Like that's one of my main things that to the point where I do it like unconsciously now. But I always try to avoid using the obvious rhyme or using a rhyme like if I've heard it before. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, for sure. Like, you have to be like, one of the things that our generation of music learned very fast was to be your own voice.
Yeah.
And nobody sounds like you. And nobody sounds, when I say you, I say Shottie. Nobody sounds like Agony. And that is always the goal. so that you could always have your voice and nobody could ever touch you. But to be unique is one thing, but to be able to process music at a level where you guys are both producing, because we didn't get into that part of the conversation. We talked about doing your own thing, and you talk about doing your own thing, Agony and Shottie, but you both produce your own projects independently.
Yeah.
And that is something that goes beyond what most people could do, because still to this day that people work and try to get producers to make something for them. But you two, like, producers want to give you guys beats because you don't need them. You know, you can make your own music and you can make it so fire, and it's almost like a privilege for a producer to, you know, give you a beat. So how do you guys look at it from the perspective of the growth that from the beginning of Common Ground to where you guys are at today? Like that first day where you guys were exchanging rhymes, you and North were exchanging rhymes, and you and Littles were, you know, battle rapping to see, but not really battle rapping to see, to today where you guys produce yourselves, manage yourselves, make your own music. Like, is the core music and love for Common Ground? Like, what do you think bonds you guys to this day be able to sit down and talk about it still?
I think it's like just a respect for the craft. You know what I'm saying? And from like, just, I know that there's certain things that I could talk about that Agony knows exactly what the fuck it is that I'm saying, because he's been through the trenches. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really what it is. Like, artists have a journey. You know what I'm saying? And each artist has his own journey, but like it's connected to everybody else in like certain ways that it's like other people don't share those. And I think you've gotten into it recently now that you've been producing your own music too. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you're in the club now, and it's in a weird way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like a fraternity, man. Like,
yeah, I appreciate it. I learned from you guys, so it's obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, like we fucking went through the stomping grounds, bro. Like, you know, like the era of real MCs, bro. And when we didn't have the internet, we had to fight for beats, like we've been talking about. We had to, you know, figure out how the fuck we were gonna record these rhymes and shit. It wasn't as easy as it is now. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's a bond I think that's always gonna be there. You feel me?
Yeah, what's crazy is that I remember purposely just trying to, as funds became available, whether it be saving up or just sometimes just putting shit on credit cards. I remember hollering at Dro when I didn't have no fucking credit on some, like, yo, I need your help to be able to get some shit, and I'll pay you so you can pay the credit card back, just to be able to get shit, because I wanted, my ultimate goal was always to be self-sufficient. Like, I got tired of waiting on people for beats, on waiting on studio time, on waiting on mixes, that it was a matter of just like not just I would say we, because from me and North's side, I think where we really started to get into our groove of pumping shit out on a weekly basis was once we had our own spot, like being able to go to that place and really just have the, because before that you didn't have many options, right? Like when you knew you were gonna work on something, it's like, all right, on this day at this time,
right,
this is what you're
right,
doing, this is what's being presented to you.
Right.
You didn't have that luxury of saying, what are you doing tonight? We're gonna go in the studio, we're gonna flip through some beats, whatever tickles us, we're gonna see what we come up with, and sometimes those were the dopest shits, right? Yeah. Like that was where you'd sit there and be like, yo, last night we came out with some fucking fire. Just like sometimes we come out with shit that I'm like, yeah, it's alright, and it's just, it is what it is. But when we had that luxury to be able to fuck around and say, what are we gonna do tonight? We're gonna fuck around and make our own shit. Like, we're gonna make our own beat. And sometimes we weren't producers. At least I never felt like we were producers in that aspect, because to me, producers were Fury, Pro, Class.
Yeah, that's a good point. I still don't feel like a producer, to
like,
be honest.
I can say, like, when people ask me stuff, like, yeah, I've produced tracks and I've made my own beats, but I would never if people ask me, well, what do you consider yourself? I don't consider myself a producer. The only way I would consider myself a producer is from the perspective of bringing people together to work on projects to make something happen type shit. There, I have done that type of production.
Facilitator.
You know? But as far as a composer who created the beat, like somebody like, yeah, I've done that, but that's not me at my heart type shit. It's just I've done it because I've wanted to keep doing stuff, and I wasn't gonna wait around to try to get it from other people who were busy doing other things or up in better projects or just beyond my budget. So it definitely has been a crazy journey of ups and downs, and I mean there's still so many things we haven't even gone into as far as where me and North have gone with past Manny and E and getting more into like the Night Breeders, you know what I'm saying, era, and
For real.
and doing stuff there where we got so close and nothing. There's still stories about Pun that we haven't gotten into about things that we've done with him, rest in peace. People that we've had at our fingertips from DJ Laz, connects with other DJs that we've been so in the mix and within not even 7 degrees of separation. We're talking about like sometimes 1 or 2 degrees worth of connects with certain people and shit just never popped off type shit that it's.
But what's dope is like we've been talking for fucking 2.5 hours and we haven't even got to that. So that just tells you that there's a lot of shit to say. But I think we should start wrapping it up because my girl's gonna think I'm fucking somebody.
Yeah, I've gotten a few texts. Well, actually, you know what? Bullshit. I haven't gotten a few texts. I got one text when I said
if you got one text,
I'm going past midnight. I got a vomit emoji. And I've been texting ever since. Like, we got a strong flow going. Sorry, we're still recording. Still here. It may take a while. In some good conversation and don't want to break the flow.
So, Soop, you want to take us out of here?
We're going to take it out of here on this episode right now. And there's more to come on the Superman show. There's more episodes. There might be more guests that have more stories to tell you. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure.
Well, as a preview to the next shit, there's one thing I definitely don't want to leave without at least mentioning as a highlight, and we'll elaborate more later, is that it's my favorite Agony and Shottie moments. And for me, there's 2. There's one, which is the infamous one of being in off 152nd and 80th when we got ambushed by people in a cipher that was supposed to be just a cipher.
Yeah,
and it became a battle. And that's one of those moments where Shottie was ready. And I think that was the only time I've ever been in a battle where I've never been so confident in my abilities, where it was just speaking in rhyme. It wasn't even, there was nobody that was going to stand up that night that could possibly say anything that I wasn't going to be able to counter. That, and I don't even know if you remember.
We walked in on some, like, I remember walking in because, like, that little section of the Miami scene was like super backpacker hip hop, like like Planet Asia,
and we were already a step above that.
Yeah, we were we were making tracks and shit like that, and I think like
on the radio.
Yeah, I think the people that we were hanging around and shit, it had a little more of like a gangster vibe to it, you know what I'm saying? So like we walked in I just remember the way we walked in. Everybody looked at us like, who the fuck are these dudes, bro? Fuck these guys.
Shottie in his big clothes.
They went at us right away. What was the other moment?
Well, at that night, you could tell that it was scripted, though, because I haven't heard so many different people say the same shit.
Yeah.
And
Common clowns.
Common clowns.
It's like they were
they
were talking about it.
They prepared for that night.
They knew we were coming.
They knew we were coming, and they prepared for that night.
I was proud of us that night.
Where, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna say it because this was the highlight of that moment, was when at one point Shottie just gave up on the freestyle and said, yo, but y'all niggas got beef or what? Like, I need to know, like, beyond the rap, are we about to scrap or what's going on?
So I would love to interject right there and say that I was there. I was a witness to the situation, and Agony said it real nice because it's the end of the night. But when Shottie said that shit, he was angry.
Yeah.
There was a lot
I
of
was on my
pent up-
Tupac shit.
Yeah, it was Tupac.
I didn't even see that coming. When he
Yeah.
said that, I was like,
Yeah.
all right, so we about to scrap then. All right,
I thought he
let's
was-
see who's going to say what.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna spit into the camera. I thought he thut it was gonna be
Yo,
real
to
Tupac
give them
moment.
credit, they were super peace about it though. They were like,
Yeah,
"Nah,
when he
man,
went
it's
there,
hip-hop.
everything was like,
It's-
nah. I was like, really?
But until that
Really?
point, it didn't feel that way.
Not at all.
But yo, like again, what are we talking about? I'm just combative, bro. When it came to the hip hop shit, I've always been combative, man. I don't fuck with outsiders. So like you guys we were in the same circle. Now we're going to war together. You know what I'm saying? So like, I seen a bunch of outsiders. I never met these dudes before, bro. I didn't know H2O. I didn't know those guys back then. You know what I'm saying?
H2O, Serum. There's a bunch
A bunch of those
bunch of
cats.
people
Yeah,
there.
a bunch of those guys.
But and it was funny because now hip hop is hip hop and it's all love. But back then it was so serious.
Yeah, it was serious.
It was so serious.
Yeah.
Because we were.
And
like,
these dudes, like, I'm super cool with now. We weren't that cool back then.
Yeah,
like, I'm super cool with
you
Serum.
were grown
now.
up. Because
Yeah.
you were grown up now. But back then you were adolescent. You was going for your 10.
Yeah.
We got ambushed. There was a reason for us to feel
well,
some type of way about
So
this
what was
shit.
the other memory though?
Yo, the other, I don't even know if you remember this, and for me, this stays burned in my brain because I remember sitting shotgun. You were in the back seat, and Congo was driving the car. And don't ask me what beat was on or what, but he put some shit on.
Shit.
Yo, and me and Shottie went back and forth on some
It was a
storytelling
story.
shit.
Yes.
Dude, that it was so fluid that
Yeah.
I would jump in and he would jump in right at the moments without even leading on some like, yeah, now my boy Shot's gonna say shit. Like, not even some shit like that. Like, it just,
Hip-hop.
it flowed. And it was one of those moments that I remember being done with it. I'm like, I really wish that somebody would have recorded this shit because now, fuck if I remember what I said or what he said. But I remember more than anything at one point looking over and seeing the look on Congo's face of saying, I can't believe I'm experiencing this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That look in his face of joy of saying like, it's only me with these two dudes and witnessing
He's the only
this
one
shit.
watching it. Yeah.
You know, that fucking, I gotta reach out to him and see if he even remembers that moment the way I remember seeing it in his face. Like,
I do remember that though. I remember
That shit was
We were
such-
driving around your mom's block.
Yeah, it was fucking. We weren't even going anywhere. We were just in his whip,
Driving around
and fucking
smoking. Yeah.
Yo, and we just got into a nasty cipher.
I remember that, man.
And fucking almost as nasty as the time that they brought Pitt to my boy's house. But we'll talk about that some other time.
I was there. That's the night that Pun died.
I don't think so. See, that's we gotta talk about
gotta
that.
talk about
Guaranteed.
I disagree.
That's the night Pun died.
Because I talked to him about this and I was there that night.
B, that's the night Pun
And
died. I'm telling
and
you.
let me tell you, the night that I remember Pun dying, I was coming back from the airport, and the night you're talking about, I was there. Because I remember the whole, I can't find the words. I remember that shit.
I had already battled Pitt at that point.
Right, but that point wasn't a battle. That wasn't a battle. What we were talking about was supposed to be a cipher. Phil set it up.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. I'm not saying that night didn't happen. What I'm saying, I don't think it's the
Pun
same
died
night as
that
Pun.
night.
I'm telling you, I remember driving down Kendall when I heard the news about Pun, and I went home. I don't recall
I remember
going
hanging out and rapping.
There's no way I even remember would have been in the mood to rap after that because
that night?
from our angle, the meetings that we had with Pun and the connections that we had with him and his
It was
sister,
depressing.
and the opportunity that we were hoping to get through him, hearing that totally was just
Not
like
a
ripped
rap
that
night.
shit out of our hearts. That I don't.
We had a connection with Pun too. My homegirl Tanya is his cousin. We had a connection with Pun too.
But we're just saying the night that he passed. I think
it
it's the
was.
same
I think
night
it was that night.
we had the cipher with Pitt.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that on the next.
We'll talk about that.
next
Well, let me
Bat
tell you
Time.
right now. Well, we're gonna end it tonight, and we'll see how we really end it. But I'm just standing here with two local legends, and we're talking about the story of Common Ground for all our peeps and all our fam. And I want to thank y'all for tuning into the Superman Show. We got like 5 hours of material ready to chop up for y'all. So God bless y'all. Good night, and tune in for the next one. Yo, peace. CG.
What was the other one?
About?
Eargasm, bitch.
Word.
It's
Been a while.
I ain't signing to you, motherfuckers.
CG. CG, motherfucker, we never went nowhere.
Hey yo, North, you gotta blow
for me?
Hell yeah, but what the fuck else you want from me?
I wanna puff for free and here's something hype.
Alright, fuck it, then I'ma smoke this and stumble to the mic like my brain stay reacting. Bullets spray fasting. Step into this action, you get your face smashed in. Ain't no grace blasting, I'm a tasteful assassin. Wait for you laughing with a knife to save you for rations. In case you asking, I'm the one stopping your tracks and with Gatlins blow your back and looking at you gasping for air. If I ain't told you yet, this is my year. God changed the dark clouds to blue skies, the sign's clear. So yo Fred, you got a blunt for me?
Hell yeah, but what the fuck else you want from me?
I wanna smoke for free and here's something hype.
Alright, fuck it, then I'ma smoke this and stumble to the mic like a dragon's fire. This man's no lie. I spit heat to make the ground hot and flatten tires. Smack the teeth out your mouth and your whack attire. Like to teach when I preach, call me the rap messiah. A renegade going on an everyday raid with a team that'll spit and rip any main stage. Trust me, you don't want nothing with me, please. Start ducking from these three, you ain't fucking with CG. So yo, Shot, you got a blunt for me?
Yo, fuck yeah, but what the fuck else you want from me?
I wanna puff for free and here's something hype.
Alright, fuck it, I'ma smoke this and stumble to the mic like I ain't sober. Give your girl a sprain chocha, cause I hit her with enough force to train Yoda. Leave you with a stained sofa and a strange odor inside of your Range Rover. Game over, I tally the win. Keep Trojans in the Marriott Inn, cause I used to be dumb and dumber, not carrying gems. So if she marrying him, I was tapping it first. And my thing had her pussy lips cracking a smirk. So, do somebody got a blunt for me?
Hell yeah, but what the fuck else you want from me?
I wanna puff for free and here's something hype.
Well, I, Deftone, step into the limelight like this,
y'all. It's like that, y'all. You only bigger than life cause you fat, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like this, y'all. I know I'm good, so please get off my dick, y'all. It's like this, y'all. It's like that, y'all. Man, you only bigger than life cause you fat, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like this, y'all. So quit, y'all, cause you know you on my dick, y'all.
See, niggas claim they got skills but never bust me one. I flow and show them what it feels like to touch the sun. I like to gun and run, full steam through a war. Put my knee to your jaw, make your face a piece to the floor.
And I'm a germ that is scattering him, damaging him from his bladder rhythm to the speed of his metabolism. Mannerisms in the hospital with a scalpel in him, while a doc's trying to figure out what's the matter with him.
CG had to get on him, so test me not. Convinced that anything we spit on to the death is hot. So why you hating? Do you not know what you facing? Flames in my crew so hot they chase Satan.
And like that, stop trying to take credit for our track. It's like